Hi, I'm Chris Leader. I'm the president of Leaders Edge Training, and I want to welcome you to our monthly tips. I hope you're going to enjoy them. Feel free to forward them on to anybody on your contact management system. This month's tip is raise your intensity, increase your income. Most people in the sales industry don't live up to their full potential. I've worked with many salespeople over the years, and I've seen a tremendous amount of people who have great potential, but they never get themselves to the point of what they're truly capable of. Interesting, a story comes to mind. Many years ago, I owned an office, and in my office was a young man. This gentleman came to me. He was one of those kids, and we all know one, somebody who's gone through college, and they always go to pub night. I mean, every night of the week, this kid would be out partying, and yet he could always get a B. You know, he was an A-plus student if he would just apply himself, but he never had to. He always could just get by. Well, when he come to work in my office, I saw so much potential in this young man. Not only was he smart, but he understood people and he related to them very well. But the one challenge John had was he was not motivated. And I would do everything I could to motivate John. I would inspire him. I would try to give him all the reasons why he should be doing things. But you know, John never showed up in the office before 10 or 10:30 in the morning with a cup of coffee in his hand. And John lived in a rental apartment. He had a little Ford economy car, and he always sold just enough to get by. You know the folks, the ones that just get by. I would look at him and I would think, man, this guy has so much potential. I'd get mad at him to try to inspire him. That wouldn't work. I would try to come up with ways to entice him, but that wouldn't work. Then one day, John walked into my office and he made a tactical error. John came in and he said to me, I'm thinking about buying a new car. I perked up when he said that. I said, a new car. I said, what are you thinking about buying? He said, well, General Motors has Grand Ams on sale this weekend. And they have 0 down and 0 payments, and they're giving free this and free that. Well, I did the thing that most guys would do. I said, hey, John, well, let's grab a couple of coffees. Let's go up to the GM dealer and we'll kick a few tires. We'll have a look around. It'll be a fun couple of hours to kill. So we stopped at the local coffee shop, picked up some coffees, and went to the GM dealership. When we got there, John was showing me the Grand Am, and certainly it was a nice automobile. I don't want anybody to misunderstand that. But the reason John was looking at purchasing this car wasn't because it was the car he wanted. It was the car he felt he could afford. And I knew John had so much more. And while we were there, in the showroom was a pearl white STS Cadillac. I mean, this car was sexy. And I said to Johnny, look at that Cadillac. And he didn't even want to look at it. I said, John, sit in that Cadillac. He said, I'm not sitting in that car. I can't afford it. I said, John, sit in that car. We got in the car, and then I got out for a minute, and I said to the salesman, open the showroom doors. We're going to take this out for a ride. John said, we can't take this out. I can't afford this car. I said, stop it. We're going to take the Caddy out for a ride. Took me about 2 hours, but that afternoon, I talked John into buying a new Cadillac. Now, that Cadillac, it had a car payment so big it would choke a horse. Think about this. This is the kid I could not get in my office before 10 or 10:30 in the morning. Who was the first one in the next day? John was, at 8 a.m. He was turning on the lights, making the coffee. See, John had a commitment now, something he had to accomplish. He had to pay for that car. John had this new sense of confidence with this Cadillac. See, the Cadillac made John feel more empowered. And with this confidence, John started to do more business. Not only did he make enough to pay for the car, but he created a surplus. John no longer walked around the office. He had that sort of John Travolta strut thing going on. You could just feel it. His confidence level had gone way up. Now, about 6 months or a year went by, and John, with his new Cadillac, came in to see me, and his business was doing so well. And he said to me, I think it's time I buy my first house. And again, I perked up. I said, oh, your first house. Where are you thinking about buying, John? And he told me he was thinking about going to the east side of town. I said, you can't go to the east side of town. And he looked at me and he said, why not? I said, that car costs more than most of those houses does over there. You can't park that car over there. I said, you got to buy one on the west side. That afternoon, I talked John into 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2-car garage. Not only did he have a car payment about this big, but he had a house payment so high that, I mean, that would have scared most people. Now, John's got a new car and a fancy house. He did very well, and many years went by, and I sold that office. Let me fast forward the rest of the story. I sold that office and moved from that town and went on with the rest of my career. Lost touch with John and lost touch with all of the folks that worked for me. 20 years later, I was invited to a very large awards ceremony, big posh black tie event. There was over 1,000 award winners there from across the country in terms of their sales volume. I sat at the back of the room as a guest because I'm a trainer today. As I sat there and I watched, to my surprise, one of the top salespeople in the country coming across the stage to get an award was John. While I was sitting at the table, I started to mist up. People at my table said, "What's the matter?" I said, if you had any idea what I had to do to get that young man on the stage. You see, the moral of the story is this. Sometimes we need to make a commitment. You put your money down and you take your chances. But don't settle for second, because good is just not good enough. You see, good is the enemy of great.